Hey guys, and welcome to the Real Estate Doctor podcast, where we are going to educate, inspire, and entertain you. And today we're going to take your questions and I'm going to educate you. Now, I will also try to entertain you while I educate you. So today I have my cameraman, the man with the plan here that's going to ask the questions. And hopefully he won't give me a middle finger like last episode. And we'll go from there. So, okay, what's the first question we have?
All right, Jay, what's up, guys? All right, so number one question people always get is, can you do real estate with no money?
Well, I'm not surprised that was the first question. So yes, you can do real estate with no money. A matter of fact, I think that's the beauty of real estate. And I said in the last episode, which I just recorded, so I know, is that basically, you can't buy $100,000 of Amazon stock and go ask your broker to lend you money to buy the stock. You can't be like, hey, you know what? I'm really interested in Tesla. Can you give me $100,000 so I can invest in that? They're not going to do that. But you can find a great, fantastic real estate property and have a bank lend you money, have a private lender lend you money, have a hard money lender lend you money. So people are lending you money in order to invest. So that's number one. You can borrow money and invest in real estate. Number two is that, if you have no capital in real estate, you can do a thing called wholesaling, which is, it always confuses people, and I get it. People are thinking like, what are you, wholesaling bananas? No. Wholesaling is where you put a property under contract that you know is a good deal, and you don't have the money to buy that. You never had the intention to buy that. You put it under contract, and you sell that contract for more money to someone else that has the money and wants to do that deal. So that's another way that you can do deals in real estate with no money. And a matter of fact, plug to myself, I have a course on teaching you how to wholesale real estate with no money. Now, another way is you can raise private money. And I also have a course on raising private money. I feel like I'm selling you here, but I'm answering the question here. So raising private money, you can 100% finance any kind of deal. You have unlimited capital. A matter of fact, sometimes what I used to say was, when I need money, I buy a house. You can overfinance deals, and as long as they cash flow, that's okay too. So you can go to it, you can buy a house and walk away with a check that pays you money. It's insane. So to answer your question, yes, you could do real estate with no money, and if you're interested, hit me up.
All right, so you just also mentioned wholesaling. I got a question right here, and somebody's asking, what is wholesaling?
Okay. So like I said, what the wholesaling is you're actually not buying a property. You don't have the money to buy a property. But you go and you find a deal, you find a motivated seller or somebody that's going to give you a good deal, you put it under contract, and then you go try to find somebody that will actually buy it that has the money to do the deal. So that's what wholesaling is. It's basically assigning contracts. It's selling piece of paper. So it's selling paper for more money. And I will tell you that, I'll tell you an interesting story because I said I was going to entertain you. So I guess in my 20s, my biggest wholesale deal, just to give you an idea, was I made $100,000 in 10 hours, basically flipping a contract. So I found a deal that was, there's a long, I'll give you like the short story on it. I found a deal at 10 o'clock in the morning. I put it under contract for $23,000. I wasn't sure how much it was really worth. I noticed it was like near a university that was, when I say near, it was like, you could see like with binoculars a university. So I was like, maybe one day it might come over here. So I put it under contract. Now, what do you have to lose when you put something under contract? Well, at that time, I didn't even put a deposit down, but you could lose your deposit. And my average deposit on a real estate contract is only $500, $1,500, something like that. So I put it under contract. I went back. Now, you shouldn't do this like I did this. I put it under contract without really knowing what it was worth. I went back and I looked at the comparable properties, the comps, and I was like, man, this thing looks like it's worth $150,000. Could that be right? I said, you know what? I'm going to just add $100,000, nice and easy, nice and clean, and make it $123,000. And I was going to a real estate networking meeting that night, and I put, this is old school. This is like early 2000s. I put a little flyer together, blah, 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 blah. This house for 123. I had 6 people fighting for the deal. And at basically 7 o'clock that night, so 7 or 8 o'clock, it's like 10 hours. 7 o'clock that night, I had a contract for somebody to buy it for me for $123,000. and I didn't close and get the $100,000 in 10 hours, but I had earned the $100,000 in 10 hours. And listen, if you are working a job and in 10 hours you take a piece of paper and make $100,000, if you don't believe then, you will.
That's it. Awesome.
I mean, so that's wholesaling. Now my largest wholesale was $2.2 million, just so you know.
Oh, wow.
So there you can do crazy amounts of money. There's I'm sure you have questions about, where do I get the money for the deposit? What if I have to close the deal? And there's all kinds of, you can get money to close the deals if you have to close the deals, but you don't have to close the deals. So I think that answers that question.
All right. So like somebody asked, can you do real estate with no credit?
Absolutely. You can do real estate with no credit. First off, you can raise private money, and that's getting money privately, not from banks. You can get hard money, not from banks. Who cares about your credit? Banks care about your credit. So just don't get money from banks. You could also wholesale where you don't need any money. And there's actually ways, let's say you had terrible credit, you can actually, you can either have a company that's already created, or you can create a new company, and that company, which a lot of people don't know this. In the United States, I myself have a FICO score, a credit score, and companies have a PAYDEX score. Now, you can't get a PAYDEX score unless you basically get a DUNS number with Dun & Bradstreet, and then you create credit lines. Long story short, you can create a company, get it to have a PAYDEX score, and apply for credit as the company, which has nothing to do with you. They're lending money to the company. It's like, Tesla. Do you think, Elon Musk has to personally guarantee his loans? You're going to say, of course not. It's like a super big multi-million-dollar company, billion-dollar company. But an LLC that has its own credit score, you don't need to personally guarantee a loan. So you could be a bankrupt person with terrible credit that owns an LLC that has good credit, and banks will give money to the LLC with good credit. So there's a million ways you can do real estate without good credit.
That's awesome. So now somebody's asking here, like, if you're a foreigner, can you still do real estate in the USA?
Yes. If you're a foreigner, matter of fact, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a ton of foreigners that invest in the United States. And, for many Americans, they probably wonder, like, why are all these foreigners buying the United States? And a couple of reasons is, we have a stable currency. Not that I'm a big believer in this fake money that we all have, but we have a stable currency compared to other currencies. We have a very strong legal system, and they have the same rights as we do when they own property, very minor differences. And in other countries, you can't even, a lot of Americans don't know this, but in other countries, sometimes you don't even own the land that you build a house on. You just lease the land. That's not even a thing in the United States. So foreigners can invest in the United States, and they often do, and they can do a lot of things. If you are outside the United States and you're interested in investing in the United States, please know that you can also get credit in the United States. A lot of people think, well, hey, unless I have a ton of money, I can't get a loan from a bank in the United States. It's not true. Just need to know there's like 4,800 banks in the United States, and there's not plenty, but there's 50 or so that will loan to foreigners to buy investment real estate.
Awesome. Now, would you say flipping houses, is that good or bad?
Is flipping houses good or bad? That's a good question. So I always say flipping is good when flipping is good, and flipping is bad when flipping is bad. So I have a strategy, though. What I do, I'm always flipping, no matter what the market is. So when you're in a very good hot market, the most profitable flips are usually retail flips, we call them, where you're selling to, John and Mary that are going to move into a house. Now, the negative to flipping those houses is if the market changes, and if you're worried about the market changing, going down, if you're holding a property that you wanted to sell to John and Mary and they don't buy the property, you have a vacant property that's pretty expensive that usually won't cash flow. So that's where you can get banged up, and I definitely gotten banged up in a couple of recessions like that. So what I have now learned is I adjust when I feel, and look, nobody knows if there's going to be a recession, depression, whatever. But when I feel, hey, interest rates are going up, they're talking about a bad economy, I stop flipping retail and I flip rental properties. And what do I mean by that? is I produce, instead of producing a home for John and Mary to move into, I produce a home that I'm going to rent out and sell to an investor that they want to buy what's called turnkey. So there's many investors that make a ton of money. Well, I don't want to call it, yeah, they're passive investors. So, let's say you work for Facebook, you live in Silicon Valley, you got $2 million in the bank. You want to buy rental properties, but you don't want to renovate the property. You don't want to manage the property. You don't want to do anything. You want to buy it turnkey, already done, rented, making money. And so I sell properties to those people in times like that. And my worst case scenario when I'm flipping a rental property is that the market completely goes crazy, terrible. And first off, the only people that buy in terrible markets are investors, so I still probably could sell that. But the other thing is I could just refinance it and keep it, and it will cash flow. So flipping is good all the time if you're flipping the right property, but flipping can be hit or miss if you're only in the retail market. And that's why real estate agents have a hard time in down economies and stuff. That's why it's like they're like riding high, getting Ferraris and helicopters, and then suddenly they're unemployed, because they're just going with the flow. You have to adjust your tactics to the actual situation on the ground. Now I sound like I'm in the military. Thank you for your service, by the way, all our military members. I really appreciate that.
Now, you always talk about raising private money. Like, can you break that down for us?
Yeah. Every time I drink this water, I think of there was like, I think in the Donald Trump 2016 election, Marco Rubio came out or did some rebuttal or something, and he was like in the middle of talking, and he was like, got his water. I know where I feel that pain, Marco. So private money. What is raising private money? So raising private money is basically getting money from non-banks. And it's basically borrowing money from where you usually start are friends, family, people close to you, this, that, and the other thing. And it's key, a couple things for you to know. You do not want to ask people to lend you money. You want to offer them an opportunity to make more money than they can in the bank in a safer spot. So right now, the way interest rates are, you can make 5% in a bank account in the United States, which 2 years ago you could only make 1%. So, but I'm happy to pay 10% interest to a private lender or 12% interest. So your pitch would be like, did you know that you could be the bank and make double the amount of interest that you make in the bank, safer than putting your money in the bank, because you put money in the bank and they just lend it out anyway. If you lend me money, you're not actually sending me the money. You're sending it to a title company. The title company will use that money for me to buy a property, and they will record a mortgage, and I can't sell that property until, I could sell the property, but you get paid before I do. So it's really safe for them, and it's really safe for the lender. And some people will be like, well, I'd rather have 5% in the bank. And there's a rule called the rule of 72. And it's either, I think you take the 5% divided by 72 or the 10, whatever your rate of return is, and divide it by 72, or take 72 and divide it by the rate of return. It's one or the other. But I just did this yesterday for these. And I believe if you make a 5% return, it will take you 14.4 years to double your money. If you make a 10% return, it'll take you half. It'll take you like 7.5 years. So you can say, hey, I'd rather make 5%, but you can double your money in half the time. So it's very important. Every time you make a little bit more return, it's taking you less time to double your money. So anyway, raising private money is really priceless because for many reasons. One, nobody cares about your credit. It's non-recourse lending. So that means that when people lend you money, you're not personally liable for it. So if something goes wrong with the deal, they take the property and you don't have any kind of credit ramifications. They can't come after your stuff personally. Anyway, I could talk a lot about raising private money, but that's basically what raising private money is. And it may sound like to you, because I get this all the time, well, hey, Doc, I don't know any rich people. Well, you don't need to know any rich people. A lot of times I'm talking to people and they're like, wow, I'm really interested in that, but I don't have any money. And I go, well, do you own a home? Yeah, I do own a home. Do you have equity in a home? Yeah. Well, you can refinance, get a HELOC on your home. And yeah, right now rates suck and you might be paying 8%. But you could borrow it at 8% and I could pay you 15%. That's about the highest that I would pay. And some people will be listening to this and going, well, hold on, man. How can you borrow money 15%? You're going to have to find an investment that makes more than 15%. That's not how the math works. And I promise you, if you think it's insane for somebody to borrow money at 15%, call me. You can lend me money at 15%. I'll be happy to pay it, and I'll be making 100% on top of that. So that's raising private money. It's a lot easier. You got to learn it. You got to understand all the intricacies, because when you talk to people, you have to be able to answer all their questions. And it is a good deal for the lender, and it's a good deal for you.
I think we're going to have to do an episode just strictly like towards private lending.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Raising private money. We got to
This is definitely one question that we got a lot, which is, can you break down the Burr Method?
Yes, the Burr Method. So Burr Method stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. This is the single most important, amazing strategy in real estate if you want to leverage your assets. Basically, let me break it down to you real simple. With the Burr Method, you can take a finite amount of money, let's say $100,000, and you can buy a rental property and get your $100,000 back. And then you could buy another rental property and get your $100,000 back. And what that means is, with one pile of money, let's say $100,000, you can continually add assets, and you can make money till infinity. And otherwise, the alternative, if you don't use the Burr Method, is that you take $100,000 and you have to put 20% down on a $100,000 property, and now you can buy 5 properties, excluding closing costs, and you're done investing. So one of my biggest, if you don't follow me on Instagram, one of my biggest reels was when I explained this. If you had $100,000 and you put 20% down on 5 houses or 25% down on 4 houses, now you're done investing. So it took you a while to save that $100,000, but now you're done. You're toast. So how do you stop doing that? What you do is you do the Burr Method, and the Burr Method basically means you buy a property, and instead of buying a property traditionally when it's done and putting 20% down, you buy it in cash. Now, you don't have to use your own cash. You can also borrow money to do this too. But generally, you buy it in cash. Let's say you buy it for $50, you fix it up for $50, and I understand California, New York people, you can't do anything with $100,000. This is an example. And by the way, you can do this in 50, 60% of the United States. You buy something for $50, you put $50,000 in it, you're in it for $100,000, but it appraises for 33% more. That's why I say that's one of my core values, has to appraise for 33% more. So that property would appraise for $133,000. A lot of people are going to be like, well, where can you find a deal that you can buy for 33% less? You can find them all the time. But in any event, when it appraises for $133,000, you get a loan for 75% of that. It's $100,000, you get all your money back. So you buy cash, it appraises for more, you refinance it, you get all your money back. Now, key component to that is you got to make sure cash flows. Sometimes that works, that math works, but then the property won't cash flow. Then you can't do it. You never buy anything that doesn't cash flow. It's very important. So that's the Burr Method in like 3 minutes. Obviously, I could do a whole episode on the Burr Method, and probably will. But that's it in 3 minutes.
That's awesome. So now we got a few questions outside of real estate. So somebody asked, why and how did you pick Aruba to live?
Okay. So why and how did I pick Aruba to live? Well, the funny story, the first time that I came to Aruba, I proposed to my wife here, and we were going to take I knew I was going to propose to her. She had no idea. We were going to take a trip to Spain in a couple months, and I couldn't wait. I bought the rock. You buy the rock, you're like, man, that's a big purchase. I want to get. First, I thought I was going to lose it, but second, I just wanted to do, to ask. So I had a friend that was coming to a wedding here in Aruba, and I had never been to Aruba because Aruba from Philadelphia is like 4.5 hours. And I'm like, why would I go to Aruba? I can go to Bahamas in 2 hours, and I can go to Dominican in 3 hours. And now being to every island in the Caribbean, I would prefer to have come to Aruba, but I didn't know at the time. So anyway, we came. I basically tagged along on somebody else's wedding, and I told a couple of my friends to come, and I proposed to my wife. So I proposed to my wife, and then one of my biggest dreams was, we had such a good time that I wanted to rent a house on the beach. I had never done that before, so I rented a house on the beach in Aruba for a month for our honeymoon. And then I started falling in love with the island. I would come for a month. I would come for 6 weeks. And it gets expensive when you're renting, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And I said, you know what? I wonder what this math would be like if I just rented all year round, And I found out that it wasn't much more money for me to rent a house all year round than to rent like some of these super crazy villas for 8 weeks. So I rented a house all year round. I said, man, I'll let some clients use it for half the year because you could only come here for 6 months a year if you're not a resident. And long story short, we started coming every winter, 6 weeks in the summer, and then COVID happened. So we came down December 2019, and it was like March 2020. And basically in Aruba, they were like, listen, all you Americans, you got 2 days to get off the island. The airport's closing and we're shutting down. And so like everywhere in all the hotels you would see last flights, get yourself on a flight, and I went back to my wife and said, I'm not leaving. And she said, what do you mean you're not leaving? We can't be left here. I'm like, listen, I'm not leaving. I'd rather stick it out here than go back to Philadelphia. I grew up in Philadelphia. No offense to Philadelphia. I love Philadelphia. But, if there's going to be a war, I don't want to be in Philadelphia. So long story short, we put the kids in school. It was it really worked out for us to stay down here. And that's how I ended up living in Aruba full time.
And now, do you have any hobbies?
That's a good one. Do I have any hobbies? I like to fly planes. I can't fly jets, but I can fly VFR. I like to fly, single prop planes. That's fun. The problem down here in Aruba is you can't rent that many. And if you buy them, man, they really can extort you with, there's only one guy that can fix your plane. And trust me, you can't negotiate the price. So I like to fly planes. I'm trying to think. I like to do stuff with my kids. Like, there's no American football here on the island. So I started an American football team. It's flag football, but I like to do stuff with my kids. And I like to hang out with my wife, but I guess that's it. That's it.
Now, I have a personal question. So you were just talking about Aruba, which, by the way, I'm from Aruba. So what is your favorite thing about Aruba so far?
What is my favorite thing about Aruba? All right. So, I really, well, I mean, there's a million things, but, I will say growing up, and I don't want to knock the United States, but growing up in the United States, I think what we don't realize in the United States is, I'll give you this example. In the United States, there's two things that come to mind that hit. First off, a kid's birthday party in the United States is usually like this. Come to, Johnny's birthday party. It's 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. They're going to play with trinkets. They're going to have pizza and peace out. See you later. A kid's birthday party in Aruba is a party for the parents. It is no joke. It's like everybody come, bring all your alcohol, bring whatever, and it doesn't end until the parents are done. And it's a big party. It's really a nice celebration. So people here are warmer. So I like the kids' birthday parties. And generally speaking, in the United States, we're lying to people when we're like, hey, Tom, why don't you come over this weekend with the kids? And, if Tom knocked up at your house, you're going to duck and be like, yo, who is knocking at my door? You don't really want Tom to come over. And even if you wanted Tom to come over, he's got to come 45 minutes from the other side of the friggin' city, with his busy schedule and your busy schedule. So you don't really get together. Now, living on this island, people just show up at your house. It's like, your door is open. And if your door isn't open, they go around back. And, you'll come out of your house and there'll be people at your house just chilling, So I actually like that. Another thing I like about Aruba is, everybody that I'm friends with in Aruba, I really am friends with. We don't do business together. In the United States, a lot of times your friends are people that are in your business or your work or your job. And are you really friends? Like the people that choose to hang out with me in Aruba really must like me because they can't really benefit anything from me. So I really do like that. I mean, that's a million other things. Obviously, the weather is fantastic. I hate winters, but those are a few. Thanks for the question. And if I said anything bad, by the way, he would probably kill me.
No.
And anybody that watches is in Aruba. But no. All right. I will say what's bad about Aruba is what's good about Aruba. It's slow. If you want to do
Island time.
Island time. First, some people don't know what island time is.
Oh, man.
But it's slow. If you want to get anything done, you have to adjust. Like you have to adjust driving. You have to adjust waiting for food. You know, and Aruba has better service than some of these other islands, but I'm telling you, if you're used to like stuff being ready, it ain't happening. They're going to do it when they want to do it.
Relax.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny because like what you said about the birthday is actually really true. So I'm sorry, I'm just trying to like hold my laughter because I don't want to pick up on the mic, but it's really true what you said. It's like you go over to a kid's party, all the parents are drinking. Yeah. The kids had like a bungee dino jump, whatever you guys call it in the States. And just to add to what Jay said is that when the parents keep on drinking or having a good time, the kids are asleep. Like there's a special room where, all right, you're tired. There's like room right over there. Just go over there.
We don't keep them up. We're not torturing the kids.
Exactly.
You know, but it is fun. That's not normal. That doesn't happen. You know.
I know. I like birthday parties, man.
Yeah.
So like, do you listen to podcasts?
I do.
So I have a question over here. Someone asked.
I listen to the Real Estate Doctors podcast.
This is only the second episode.
Yeah, I know. Big deal. You are.
If you guys ever heard the first one, go look it up.
Yeah.
So somebody asked, what are some of your personal favorite podcasts that you like to listen to?
Oh man. So first off, another thing I like about Aruba is I walk on the beach every morning and I kind of run in between, but it's not working anymore. Once you get older, I don't know what happens, man. It's hard to lose weight. But I listen to every week Ed Milet. I think he's, super fantastic. I mean, would love to meet the guy. He is fantastic. I listen to Tom Bilyeu. He's fantastic. I listen to David Nagel. He's got the Successful Mindcast, the Successful Mind podcast. I listen to, what's his name? Alex Hermosi. But my biggest by far is Ed Milet. I think Ed Milet is the most fantastic podcaster out there. He's the man. So Ed, give me a little love. Get me on your show, man.
Man, so like you said earlier, I remember somebody said you mentioned one time that you slowed down with podcasts. Slow down with real estate. Why did you stop doing real estate full time, like investing?
Should
I rephrase that question? It came off a little bit.
I mean, I guess the question is, how come I don't do real estate full time?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first off, what I learned in life is we all can make money. But you're trading something. You're trading time for dollars. You're trading this for that, and making money. When I was just operating my real estate businesses, I was doing 80 deals a month. I had hundreds of employees. I can tell you that I was making a ton of money, but this is just a high-end rat race. I didn't need to do that, and actually, I was killing myself, and I didn't notice I was killing myself. You kind of just, it's amazing. I was like almost brainwashed into this, and my wife she's like, listen, you're going to kill yourself. You need to just quit, and I didn't need the money, but I was doing it. So you know what? When my wife brought that up to me, and I was having some minor health issues, I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. And I literally, in one day, just stopped everything. I said, I'm done. And the operating businesses that I had, I gave to people that were in those companies. I basically said, hey, these are your companies now. I'll keep a passive role. And of course, you can pay me a couple bucks. But I'm done. I'm chilling. And my wife gave me a rule that I can't do more than 5 deals per month. And that's where I am. And I got to tell you, I don't know why it took me so long to do it. I have never been happier. That's how I got into coaching, because now I have time to coach, and I have never done anything in my entire life that I get more satisfaction from than coaching people. It's one thing for you to make money, but after a while, hey, I know I'm going to make money. But to get someone that never really tasted it and teach them the way, have them go, it just connects. And then have them make wins, man, I think it's better than having a win yourself. So for me, I love the coaching. Trust me, I don't make anywhere near the amount of money that I make, doing even real estate now. Coaching, it's really a love. So anyway, that's why I relax. It's the best thing I ever did in my life. And sometimes I have to tell you, I'm sitting around and I'm going, oh man, what am I going to do next? That's why I do all this. That's why I'm like, hey, let's do a podcast, because I don't want to say I have nothing to do, but I got to fill some time here. Otherwise, I'll go crazy. So
you just mentioned something about coaching. So one of the questions somebody asked is, what do you learn when you coach your students?
Okay, so if I coach, I have two types of coaching. I have real estate coaching, where I'm going to teach you, I have specific courses that you can take one-on-one, which are more expensive, or you can do group coaching, which is less expensive. And I have some specific things, like if you want to learn about wholesaling, raising private money, flipping property, whatever that is. But then if you want to, in general, want to know, I can teach you almost everything about real estate. And you want to do one-on-one coaching, we can do one-on-one coaching. And with that, we're going to meet an hour and a half a week. You're going to get homework. And I'm not just going to teach you everything. I'm going to work on your mindset. When I hear limiting beliefs, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to introduce you to my network. So, maybe you need a lender, maybe you need a private lender, maybe you need to find deals in Cleveland or Pittsburgh or somewhere that I have not operations anymore, but I have deals. So that's what the real estate coaching is with me. The life coaching or business coaching is basically listening to you and seeing what your challenges are and offering solutions for those challenges, which ultimately what a lot of people don't realize is you have the solution. You just need an outside observer to listen to it, suggest some things that have worked for us, and you are the expert in your business. It's just my job to help you find the solution in your business. So those are the type of coaching that I do, and I love my students, and I really, there's nothing I'm more passionate about.
Where can people find your courses?
You can go to my website, which I believe is therealestatenoctor.info. But we'll put it in below one of these things. I always love doing this, down here. I think it's down there.
We'll put it in the description.
In the description. I'm learning. It's only the second episode, guys.
All right. So, what is the 1% rule?
1% rule. So this is an amazing rule. So I am a big believer you got to own income producing property if you're going to be wealthy. And, instead of wasting your time like doing some crazy analysis on Excel or this, that, and the other thing, the easiest way to identify if a property is going to cash flow or not is if it beats the 1% rule. So the 1% rule is this: if the property is worth $500,000, 1% of $500,000 is $5,000. It has to rent for $5,000 or more, or it will not cash flow. So if it's $100,000, it's got to rent for $1,000 or more, or it will not cash flow. Now, I know you people from California, Hawaii, New York, and I have students in all of these places, are going to tell me, well, nothing cash flows. Yeah, nothing cash flows there. Nothing will. You have to go to other states. The other thing is, so before you waste any time doing any analysis, if you do that, it doesn't cash flow. Secondly, is if it has, I would, this was not the question, but I will say, if it beats the 1% rule and you have condo fees or homeowner association fees, it still won't cash flow. I hate those properties. I don't care about your doorman. I don't care about, the valet parking. I don't get anything from that, that you keep, the golf course looks nice. I don't get anything from that as a landlord. So if you beat the 1% rule and you don't have condo fees, then I will analyze the deal.
All right. So this is going to be our final
final question.
Yes, sir. I know why I'm stuttering over here.
You're nervous, man. Nervous. You would think this guy's never been in front of a camera. But,
my God.
He's better looking than me, trust me.
Well, thank you. So let's say you're starting off in real estate. This is the beginning of somebody's journey. How do you get the money to buy real estate?
Okay, so how do you get money to buy real estate? So option one is you can save money. And once you save money, you can use that as a down payment to buy property. I think that sucks. It's a terrible method. You could have a business and you can make a ton of money. And listen, when you have a business and you do spit off a ton of cash, I think you should definitely diversify that. And some of that money should go into real estate. But for all you people that are like, hey, man, I can't save any money. I want to get into real estate. Everything sounds great. Where do I get the money? Well, you either are going to borrow money, private money, or borrow money, or you can wholesale. That's actually how I started. I started wholesaling, which I think we explained that in this episode, which is putting properties under contract and selling them for more money. I basically built my first $1 million in cash from wholesaling property. And I didn't start with any money. So if I could do that, and I mean, people do this every day. I train people how to do that every day. So I think that's a great one, but some people don't want to do it. That is still work. I mean, it's not like you just do that. If you don't want to do that, you raise private money. But you're going to have to put a little effort in somewhere. You raise private money or you get business credit or some type of credit to fund your deals. But you can definitely invest in real estate without having money. I can promise you that. Oh, now, this is the end of our episode, and I'm not going to get a middle finger here. So thank you for joining the Real Estate Doctors podcast, and I want you all to have the best day of your life. Thanks, guys.